You want to attract more people to your business, but you're not sure how to get them in the door. Should you lower your prices, stuff in more deliverables?
We're talking to Marra McDonald about building a product suite that allows you to serve customers and clients where they are and retain customers for the long haul.
Our guest today is Marra McDonald, a former teacher turned business owner who now runs a successful content agency and is the founder and head coach behind Success for Brand. Mara is passionate about helping entrepreneurs build sustainable businesses through standout personal branding and offers that prioritize client retention.
Known as the After Hours CEO, she champions a business model that works after bedtime, during nap time, and in the real life moments most traditional strategies forget. If you've ever wondered how to grow a business without sacrificing your life, Mara's here to show you it's not only possible, it's powerful.
Being an online business owner is full of ups and downs. Some days you can't imagine going back to your 9 to 5, and other days you want to burn your whole business to the ground. We get it.
Welcome to Chaos to Conversions, a podcast of practical, no BS strategies to grow your online business. Each week, we're chatting about launching, copywriting, mindset, and more, so you can make sense of the chaos and do more of what works.
Join the conversation and let's grow together.
Okay, welcome back to Chaos to Conversions. Today we have a very special guest with us. Thanks for being on the podcast, Mara.
I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, so we've kind of been, I feel like, online friends for a bit. I actually don't know how we originally connected, but I feel like somehow we just like found each other on Instagram and
No idea, but
I
here
have
we
no
are.
idea just how the internet works. Somehow we like found each other and conversations started happening and things like that. And I've actually worked with Mara for we did like a coaching call, I guess, maybe like the end of
Yeah,
last year, which was weirdly perfect timing
it
because
was.
I reached out to her and I was like, "Hey, I'm thinking about like starting a family. I like want to grow my product suite. Also the world is like really weird, so I want to give people different ways to work with me." And then like 2 months later, I was like, "Oh, by the way, I'm pregnant."
You did.
Um,
I remember getting the message, and I was like, "Wow, you weren't kidding when you said I was thinking of starting a family."
yeah, yeah. So that happened. And so I'm glad that we had met because I had like basically she helped me map out the membership that I have now. The copy huddle. Almost forgot the name for a second. So anywho, clearly
Baby
I
steps.
trust, yeah, clearly I trust her expertise. So I'm really excited to have her on. So I know that you talk a lot about like product suites. It's kind of like the thing that you help a lot of people with is building product suites and these different tiers within their business. So can you tell us a bit about what exactly is a product suite?
Yeah, absolutely. So a product suite is basically just a suite of your offers, just how people can get into your world, how they can work with you. Whether you are a service provider or if you are somebody who's product based, it's important to have a product suite either way. So if you're product based, you need to have different offers that people can get into your world, whether, they're like workbooks or, different deliverables. And then as a service provider, product suite is also known as an offer suite where you have different tiers that people can work with you in different capacities that range from high touch to low touch. So that way, not only can people work with you on their level that they need to be worked with, but you're able to serve them in different you're able to use your energy level in different capacities as well.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I think that's kind of what I was looking for when I came to you was I basically had a lot of I don't want to say like high tier because I'm not charging like $10,000 for anything that I do, but
Mhm.
like high tier in that most of us, when we're spending four figures on something, have to take a pause and ask ourselves, do I have the money for that? Do I have the time? All those kinds of things. And I found that just so many people were either not able to spend that kind of money, not willing because they want to spend their money other places. And so kind of giving them alternate ways to work with me and kind of jump into my space. So, yeah, I know you kind of touched on like service providers and course creators. Do you work with any sort of like digital sellers or anything like that with helping them with their product suites?
Would
Just
I work with
curious.
digital sellers? Yes, I could work with digital sellers.
Yeah.
Have I worked with digital sellers? I haven't necessarily. The people I primarily work with that I found is mostly with service providers who are typically either done for you, meaning they provide some kind of service like email copywriting or OBM services or blog management, or coaches. Now, within that, people might sell digital products within that realm, but that's not like their full the people I serve aren't necessarily full on digital product creators. They more so have digital products within their product suite, but they give some other service as well.
Yeah, that makes sense. So like at what point
because we did something together too, many, many moons ago. It was like, gosh, do you remember that? It was like probably two and a
I
half or
do.
3 years
I was gonna
ago.
say, I think it was like 3 years ago. I think I was a newer coach at the time. I kind of do remember this.
Yeah, I think it was right after I like transitioned to being an online business manager from like just doing all of the things at all
Yeah.
of the time. So was there like a point for you that you realized expanding like your own product suite was the right strategy? Because, and I'm asking that because I feel like as of lately, you know
Mhm.
how things trend. Some people would say to focus on only like one major offer. You know what I mean? And like not really diversified. Do you know what I'm trying to say?
Absolutely. Okay. So I actually have an opposing view from that because I think it's better to have, when I say a product suite or an offer suite, I don't think you should have like 20 different offers
Sure.
because too many offers causes decision fatigue. And then people they look at your website and they scroll through a whole bunch of things and they're like, oh, I don't know. And then they never invest whatsoever. But that being said, I also think it's important to have a couple of core offers that people can join. And honestly, it leads back to 2023 for me when I was a newer coach. I was a coach for about a year, probably about when me and you worked together,
Yeah,
Mel.
I think so.
Yeah, I think so. And I had one core offer because that's what I was told is to have my signature program and just work on selling that and just using that to scale. And I had that, but the problem I had was I found myself in constant launch mode. Just because people didn't need to be in there forever and ever and ever. So they would go through the mini mind and then they would eventually phase out. And I was like, oh no, now I have to find a new way to get clients. And I felt like it was constantly bringing in new clients. And I felt almost in fight or flight mode. And for those who don't know me, I'm very open about my mental health journey. And I'm somebody who struggles with anxiety, depression, OCD, like literally diagnosed with you name it, I probably have it. And so for me to be in constant flight or fight mode was not ideal. I was just always anxious. And I remember I wanted to burn my business to the ground. So in 2023, I literally just burnt my business to the ground. And after a lot of deep reflection and a lot of money, I was able to determine that the main reason was my product suite, where I was promising these big promises because that's what I thought I had to do. Like, I'm going to help you grow to 100K. Um, and then people would go through it and they would learn something and they wouldn't continue to need their services. And it was just constant fight or flight. So I ended up burning it all down and I started over. And I actually created more of a tier system where I have a signature offer, which is now my mastermind, where people come to learn how to develop their offers, develop their brand. But if they're craving different proximity, they have the ability to move up and down the product suite with what they need in that season of life. And what I found is I now am able to, I have the past year alone, now I think it's an 87, don't hold me quite to that number, but it's about an 87% retention rate because my clients are able to move up and down with what they need. And I just found not having to constantly find new clients all the time and being able to just take a little break from social media and not be launching constantly has just really helped me feel a lot more comfortable in my business, come from a place of abundance instead of scarcity, and honestly just been able to grow so much more. Where I am now has just completely and totally surpassed where I was back when I had just one core offer.
Yeah.
Right.
I feel like that is such like I've related to that struggle of the like constant launching of an offer and like it really is so tiring. Or like yeah, the fact that you can lose someone if it's just like, oh, well, that's just not the level of support that I need right now, or that's
Yeah.
not the level of something that I want to spend on something right now.
I was just about to say is like, people always say if you want support in your business, you should spend this, spend the money, spend the money. And while I do agree, but also you're not always in the season of life where you want to spend 500, 800, $2,000 every single month sometimes. And that's okay. Your needs are going to fluctuate and the economy is going to fluctuate, and having that ability to find the support where you need in that season it's honestly so important, and it helps build those relationships, because long term, I'm speaking from a mentor's perspective here, but long term mentorship is so important because the person gets to really know your business. And it's the same with a service provider as well. As if you continue to provide a service, whether it's a done for you service or it's some kind of consulting, or you are able to get to really know their business, and that's when you're going to see the exceptional, like the big growth happen.
Yeah. I definitely agree with that. The clients that I've worked with for like 3+ years now, I feel like I can write just like them, right? Whereas the ones who come on, maybe the first month or two, I had someone comment the other day. She's like, I feel like now that like you really get my business, like the copy's just getting better, better. I'm like, yeah, it takes a bit, for me to
It
like
does.
fully understand the ins and outs. But it's not even just like the money side, right? I think a lot of times we think the tiers, it has to be like, oh, the money, because sometimes we don't want to spend the money. Like
Mhm.
the struggle I've had more recently is that like I do want support with something and that I go in and the only option is for me to pay for like this $5,000, $10,000 mastermind. And like, that's great. First of all, I don't have that money to spend right now, but I don't
Yeah.
need that much. I'm like, I don't want to be on a call every week. I don't
Yep.
even want to be on a call every month. Like, I don't want to do calls right now. I want to be able to just like Voxer you or like reach out to you whenever I need to or whatever, right? Like, I want to be able to ask a quick question if I just need to sit down for a quick question. I don't need the super in-depth support. So I think sometimes we think of it as like, oh, it's just the money part of it. People don't want to spend the money. But I think also so many of us are depleted right now. Like the
Absolutely.
exhaustion in the online space is so pervasive. I feel like we're tired. And it's
Yeah.
like, I don't need more. I need less
Absolutely.
actually. Yeah.
And I love that you even brought that up. Just this is me not getting off track, but you know me, I've always got to like, I'm like, oh, but it's funny that you said that because I noticed the same thing. And I was having a conversation with some people who are in the mastermind who, with the summer coming up, they just don't have the capacity to sit on a call every single week for an hour. They're like, I just, I'm at the beach, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. And I was talking to my co-coaches about adding another tier to the mastermind that is a like Vox, like a Slack mind where it's a mastermind, but it's just on Slack, being able to plug in and ask questions no matter where you are. And so I think you hit the nail right on the head where sometimes it's the money, but sometimes it's just the support people are looking for is I think a lot of people think when they create offers, they have to throw in every single deliverable possible because that's what they can do to charge the high amount. When in reality is what's important is knowing what your transformation is and specifically, what do people need to get that transformation? And cut the fluff because people don't care about the fluff. Just because it makes you feel more secure in your pricing
Yeah.
doesn't mean that that's what they need.
And that really was what it is so much is like, you feel better. You feel like you're doing enough to justify it. Yeah.
And that I feel like I wish this was visual because we could have like fireworks. Because I think that is like creating a kitchen sink type of course that has like all the things and like this huge, we're going to do like this and this and that and that. Like that doesn't really, I don't want to say it doesn't work because I hate like blanket statements saying like that doesn't work because it could work for somebody. But
Right.
a trend that I have seen is that the kitchen sink type of offer or approach has just become very overwhelming. It's why I cut off all of the offer creation for like my group coaching program. Like you already have to have a proven offer. Like we're not doing that anymore. Proven. I mean, it feels like kind of like cutthroat, but like I'm just not for you. And I think that's just something that as you become a more seasoned business owner, you're more secure in doing in general.
No,
Like
absolutely.
yeah,
Absolutely. And then that also gives you the ability to, not saying you have to do this,
sure.
but it gives you the ability to create other offers where, like, your main group coaching programs, you have to have an offer coming in. But if you decide that you want to serve people who don't have an offer, you are able to create
Right.
that offer. They work with you there, and now they're able to move up to the next group program. And then if they're creating another new offer, they can move back down. And it's just that you're able to just drive more transformations. And ultimately, that's what's going to help you scale is launching constantly. And if you want to be 90 years old and launching on social media, then like go for it, right? But launching is tiring and it has its purpose. But
Mhm.
ultimately, the way you're going to continue to scale is through client retention and client referrals. And that comes with a clear transformation and an offer that's going to drive that.
Yeah, for sure. So how did you decide because you did have like a bunch of things for a while. How did you decide to put like your current signature offer as the like your mastermind, right? As like the main focus. Like how did you decide to make that like the anchor point and then the little I'm picturing like a little planet system, right? Where like that's the sun and
Exactly.
then the other ones are like the little offers around. How did you decide that was the main thing for you?
That's exactly. And that's a good question. And I'm sitting here trying to think of a good answer. I'm like, I don't know how I just decided that. I think what if I really like reflected on it, what ended up happening is I looked at my area of expertise first, where I had, when I burned everything down, I was doing something called mini mine, and the whole target of it was helping you grow to 6 figures. And I looked at that and I said, okay, that's really broad, and it's calling in people who, of course, they're motivated in business, but it's not calling in the people I really want to serve necessarily, because I do believe in growing money and I help my clients grow money, but it goes deeper than that, which is so cliche. But it's true, where what is it that I help them with that helps them grow to 6 figures? And I looked at my expertise, and my expertise, the way I was able to really dive into all this was I have a degree in education. I'm a former teacher. I also have a master's in leadership, and I have a master's in educational design. And I was like, okay, so what about did I learn that I can apply in the online space? And the answer was offers. And so at the time, I had a pretty good community because, again, I had an offer, I had a mini mind, I had like 10 people in it at the time. So I was like, one to one doesn't make sense for me to start launching right from the gate, because if I had 10 people say, yes, I want to work with you one to one, I'm going to be like, I'm sorry, I don't have that capacity. And then that hurts. So I actually started from scratch with the mastermind, where I said, okay, I'm going to make it very specific. We're going to be focusing on brand development and offer creation. And I spent about a year mastering that offer, like only marketing that offer, only focusing on and refining it within it. Like I didn't just launch it and say, perfect, next offer. I spent a year refining it. And then from there, what I did is, as people in the mastermind, they were like, oh, I really need support in this. Like, is there anything that you have? I started to build custom offers. And then with that, I started opening them up to more people. And so that's how I ended up getting basically like a solar system, like you said, of offers, where people come and they join the mastermind, and then they're like, I'm looking for something that I can also do one-to-one calls. And I'm like, perfect, one-to-one offer. They say, I'm looking for a way that I can just Voxer you and not have to check into the mastermind. I'm like, perfect, Voxer message. Or they say, I'm looking for accountability. I'm like, perfect, membership. But everybody who joins my offers, they get put into the mastermind. Whether or not they come to the calls, that's up to them. But you get put into there. It's like a Slack community. And then everybody has basically a little custom offer that they can branch off into.
Well, that's adorable. I'm getting a very good visual.
Okay, so I love this, like Melanie said, this visual. Like these people will have these little mini offers going on. How though do you like make this not overwhelming for people, right? Because then when people are coming to you, you do have so many different elements in your product suite. How do you, I know we kind of talked briefly about this earlier, but how do you not make it this like long list on your website, like a million things to try to sort through, and it just becomes more of a contention point than it does like a place for them to, the option for them to jump in wherever they need to be?
Yeah, absolutely. So, first of all, a lot of my conversions do come from conversations. Like, I like to get what I found is a lot of people, before they invest in me, we have some kind of relationship. We've talked for sometimes years, sometimes months. I'm not somebody who I can post content and have people just randomly sign up. I've had it happen, but I found that that isn't actually very beneficial for my audience. I found the people who do the best are people that I know personally. And so oftentimes they say to me, okay, I'm looking for coaching. Tell me what my best thing is. And I ask where they are, and I am able to basically play doctor and diagnose what would be the best offer for them. That being said, people do go to my website and they say, I'm interested in this offer. And I'm like, okay, tell me more. And in which case, what I like to do is, well, what I'm working on doing, it's not up there yet, but basically I'm going to have like a quiz kind of thing that says, what's the best offer for you? And asking, what are you looking for? Are you looking for more of a group community? Are you looking for more of a one-to-one experience? Are you looking for accountability? And it will help direct them to the correct offer. So if you're somebody who has a bunch of, different offers, having a core, like the core offers that you want to market, like a core 3, is important. And then understanding what makes each one of them what's it called, stand out,
Yeah.
and then being able to direct them to that. So for example, if Branda came to me and she said, hey Mara, I'm looking for some coaching. I like you said, I am not looking for a mastermind. I don't have the time to sit in front of a computer. I'm, pregnant, don't have time to sit in front of a computer an hour every single week. In fact, I don't even want to get on a call every single month, but I want help building out my offers. What can you do for me? What I would say to you is, okay, well, offer suite, the best thing for you is the mastermind. However, I would take a look at the mastermind, but I think maybe just a Slack support mastermind would be best for you. And you can always add on calls if you want to.
Mm.
So really, I know this part, a lot of people who are going to be listening to this, a lot of coaches are going to be like, that doesn't sound very scalable. But for me, I want transformation. I want to be able to provide quality results. That is the most important to me. And with that, I need to be able to have a conversation and not just rely on people signing up on the website, just picking it themselves. I want to be able to help you pick the right offer.
And I
Yeah.
think like people are looking for so much more, and this isn't a bad thing, just again, another trend, another observation. People are looking for so many more touch points before they make a purchase and so much more like personalized support. Like the way that I just sold the launch reno for this first, launch that we're like halfway through the first cohort right now.
Yeah.
I didn't send a single sales email. Like I just talked to people and invited them. Like, I mean, I had to invite them. They didn't know it existed. But it's funny to see how different people, like a couple different people I'd worked with prior and they just joined. Like they didn't even ask any questions because like we'd worked together on launch strategy sessions before. And then a couple people asked me questions for like the entire month leading up to like when we actually started and then eventually joined. So I'm that kind of buyer too. Like I'm a relational buyer. I'm like super annoying and ask like a million questions and also like read the entire sales page. Do you know what type of buyer you are, Mara? I would just be
Yeah.
like interested.
A combination of driver buyer and the emotional buyer. Like, if you
Okay.
get me on a good story, I'm sold. I'm like, yes, get me in
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. I'm kind of the same way. Yeah. I'm
Are
like,
you?
I hate to say that I'm like susceptible to like income claims and like really big stories, but I kind of am. I'm like, oh my God,
Yeah.
I could be that person, you know? It's kind of bad because I know like logically I'm like, okay, Branda, you can't trust everything you read on the internet, you
Yeah.
know? But yeah, definitely the relationship piece I have really seen. That was actually something I noted like earlier this year that I was like, okay, all the people who've come into the Copy Huddle so far, are people who I either have worked with in some capacity before, I've done some sort of call with them that was like a smaller like strategy call, or they've like asked questions like in the DM
Yeah.
so far. And I'm like, it's all been people who know me. And I think we are
Yeah.
really making that pivot, which is hard because I think relational marketing is probably one of the most time consuming in a way, because you really have to like invest a lot of time into like, I hate to say like invest time into caring, like it's a bad thing, but it's a time consuming thing when you're really trying to reach a lot of people, you know?
It is. You have to
Yeah.
build a brand is basically
Yeah.
what it is, and that goes hand in hand with what else? Like offer and brand development is when you create
Right.
these offers, if you want to have relationships in those offers, you also have to have a personal brand that is going to appeal to people. And it does take time. And I think that's something, people, I hate to say people don't want to do, but people want the quick wins. They want the instant satisfaction, which I get, I do too. But, business is a long haul game.
Yeah. And I think for so long, like, especially if you're running a business, like again, in like 2020, 2021, where so many people were like much quicker to buy, the relationship piece was important, but it just wasn't as important. You could bring in a lot of people who didn't know you very well. They would sign on to a lot of stuff like having barely read, maybe part of the sales page. And that was just kind of more common. And I think some of us got really used to that. So
Yeah.
now that we have to do more of the like investing, it's like, oh my gosh, this is like a lot. But it just, it's where we're at. I think a lot of us can relate. We've all said we are relational buyers in some way, right?
Yeah.
So
Absolutely. And, going off of that on offer suite then is it's also important then to always have some kind of offer, whether it's, I'm not somebody who says you have to have a freebie or it can be low ticket, but something that you're able to help build those relationships with, that's an entry point for them. So you can start to develop those relationships. So you can build that line of communication to help point them to what the best offer is for them. That's important. That goes hand in hand with offer creation. Is so often people think of offer creation as, oh, I need to sell a one-to-one or I need to create a group program. But offer
yeah.
creation and a product suite is also your freebie. It's also your, strategy call. It's also the little offers that you have that helps build those connections. That way they convert into retainer clients.
Yeah, definitely. What advice would you give to someone who's considering kind of scaling their business? Maybe adding a product suite, expanding their current offerings, but they feel really overwhelmed. I know you kind of touched on how you started with like the one piece and then from there kind of added on. Is that kind of the advice you would give? Or I guess
Yeah.
when you're coaching people, I'm assuming you're doing a lot of this, helping
Oh,
them scale.
all day, every day.
Yeah. So what's kind of the first piece that you have them start with? Like, what's the big piece of advice you give them?
Yeah. So my first piece of advice is, first of all, the people who I serve, they are in business already. They're not starting from scratch with nothing, kind of like what Melanie said. So what I always tell people to do is take a look at your current offer and figure out what is your promise. And so often people like, I actually don't know. I don't know what my promise is. I don't know what my transformation is. And so we start there where we figure out, okay, this core offer you have, what is your big transformation that you're going to drive? And then from there, what else is fluff? And then we take that fluff and we can start to create other offers out of it. So for example, I'm going to use my product suite as an example because that's the easiest for me. But in 2023, I had the mini mind, which my big promise was grow to 6 figures. And when I sat down, I said, well, how do I help them do that? I was able to get really clear that I help them with offers and branding. And that's what I really want to be known for in the online space, is helping them scale through offers and branding. And so that's what I created my core offer with. And then continue to grow that for a while. You have to be able to build offer awareness. You have to be able to build a brand and a brand story around that specific offer. Then when you cut the fluff, then you can start to add little offers off of that that's going to help drive that transformation or guide them to that specific offer. So for example, another part of growing to 6 figures is going to be time management. Well, I have a membership that every single Friday we hop on a call and we plan how to continue to grow our business in an hour a day. Right. And so it's a piece of the puzzle that helps them grow to that 6 figure mark that I originally had created my business around, but I'm breaking it down. And then my one-to-one, people like, okay, well, how do I know if I need your one-to-one? Well, one-to-one is perfect for you if you want really close proximity, but you also want mindset help, because mindset is important when you're continuing to grow a business. And so that's where I direct people who want mindset support. So just getting really clear on the transformation of the core offer you want to build and using your existing offer to help that. And then what doesn't fit that core offer, cutting that fluff, putting it in the bank for, I'm going to build offers off of this in the future, and then coming back to that when you're in a good place and starting to build. And like going not off topic, but building off of that is having the patience for the long haul. Because the one thing I see people make mistakes with is, and this is why a lot of people come into my mastermind, is they have this big vision and they want to put all the offers out there at once. And then they cause decision fatigue, and nobody ends up converting, but they get all these DMs saying, oh, I'm interested. And then all of a sudden nobody converts, and like, what am I doing wrong? The answer is you have to stick to one offer for at least 90 days before you move on to any other kind of offer, so you can build that offer awareness, because this whole setup is really dependent on your offer and brand awareness. People have to know who you are and what you stand for. Kind of like how you knew I am known for my offers. You might not necessarily know that I also have a membership for accountability and I have a one-to-one, et cetera, but you knew my core offer because that's what I poured into. And so now I'm able to expand that vision and build onto that a little bit more. But focusing on one offer for at least 90 days before you throw out anything else.
I love that.
I think also so many of us want to like do things so much faster than we're able to. So I think that's, oh yeah, 100%. That used to be probably one of my biggest struggles in business, is I would be like, I'm going to do all these things. And then you sit down to do it and you're like, oh, well, that took about 90 days longer than I anticipated. So that's great, yeah. So
that happens like day to day. Sometimes we're like, I'm gonna write 8 emails. No, I'm not. Like, you'd think I'd be better at that like mental piece by now, but every day I wake up and I'm like, I can do it.
Really optimistic.
Yeah, it doesn't bother me as much as it used to. So I guess that's a win. Just roll it over to the next day.
You would think I would be better at it since this is what I do for a living. And I say, but no, absolutely not. I still like to throw out a new offer every like 10 days where I'm like, oh, wait a second, this would be good.
Okay, Mara, well, thank you so much for coming on the show today. Can you tell us a little bit more about like if people want to find you, where can they come say hey?
Yeah, absolutely. So you can come over on my Instagram. It's marra.mcdonald, MARRA.McDonald, like the fast food restaurant. Worst last name in the world. My husband, I'm always like, you're lucky I love you, because I hate that last name. But from there, you can really just find any way to contact me. I have a podcast, The Late Night CEO. And I also offer free sit-ins for literally all my offers. That's my way of getting to know people is if you want to come sit into my mastermind and check us out, come sit in. You want to come sit in for my membership, come sit in because I don't gatekeep. But I have to warn you, once you come in, you're going to want to stay. So, but that's where you can find me.
All right, amazing. And all of those links will, Marra's Instagram and podcast, like that will all be in the show notes for you.
Thanks so much for joining our conversation today. If you enjoyed this episode, please head to your listening app and leave a quick rating and review.
If you're on Instagram, share this episode and tag us at Duxbury Digital and at The Relevant Collective. We'd love to hear from you. We'll meet you back here next Tuesday for more practical strategies to take your business from chaos to conversions.